there used to be a mindset out there that uh, if people gave to end of year giving or something like recurring giving or recurring gift, that they wouldn't give to your event. And the actual opposite is true. The more engaged with you they are, the more they're more likely to continue to give gifts with you.
Welcome to the Basecamp podcast, everyone, an educational podcast for and about nonprofits powered by Pacific Northwest Fundraising. Today, we've got Eddie Allen on the show. Eddie, welcome back, man. Now,
Thanks.
oh, absolutely.
Thanks. Glad to be here, Ryan.
Me too, because like when this episode releases, man, we will have just wrapped Give More 24 for 2025, which is always a big moment for nonprofits. But I know that just in recent episodes, even you've said that Give More 24 is actually just the beginning for
Yeah.
nonprofits. Can you explain
Yeah.
what you mean by that more?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Give More 24, it's this great, community celebration and rallying point for giving, but it's not the finish line. We look at it as really the on-ramp into the biggest giving season of the year, and the year giving, which literally starts October run and runs through the end of December. And this is when organizations can turn that Give More 24 momentum into something much bigger.
So, okay, all right, they can turn it into something much bigger. Why is end of year giving such a critical window for nonprofits?
Yeah. The numbers out there, Ryan, is about a third of all donations in the United States happened in December. And then a
Oh,
crazy little stat too, nearly 12% of those come in the last 3 days of the year, which is kind of an incredible stat, right?
what?
And yeah, and here's another incredible stat. Only a little over half of the nonprofits in the United States even run a structured end of year giving campaign. So that means nearly half of them are leaving this huge opportunity untapped.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea that it was in the last 3 days.
It's a crazy stat like that. Yeah, again, a third of all gifts in the month of December, 12% the last 72 hours of the year, and again, just a little over half of all nonprofits actually run a structured end of year giving campaign.
Well, okay. So I know that Give More 24 is not supposed to be that structured end of year giving, right?
Right.
It's the beginning of that essentially. So for the organizations that did just participate in Give More 24, what should they be doing next? What's their next step?
Yeah, well, it's really stewardship, right? So the
Okay.
donors who gave during Give More 24, or the donors in your donor base that have been your supporters, they're paying attention. So you need to take care of them. The nonprofits need to thank them, show them the impact, and invite them into your year-end giving, right? Where they're most likely to give again.
Yeah.
But oftentimes you see nonprofits go silent, so you risk losing all that momentum and starting over from scratch next year. That's why we see the connective tissue between Give More 24 and the end of year giving are not separate events; they're connected parts of one giving season.
Yeah, because everything is connected. Like we've talked about before, everything is a relationship. And it's not like parts of your relationship are segmented. It's all one big whole.
That's what a really strong annual giving plan looks like in the first place, from a 30,000-foot level, right? The connective
Yeah.
tissues between your Give More 24 and your giving, recurring giving programs. Let's say you run a gala, all those things are connected, right?
Yeah. Walk
And
walk us through what kind of a strong end of year giving season looks like.
sure. So again, wrapping up Give More 24. So make sure you thank everyone, express gratitude, and then stewardship really starts to happen. Okay. And
Hmm.
so in October, is really laying the foundation, the infrastructure. I like to say, and we on our podcast that we've had in the past, no database, no donor development. So cleaning up donor data, building the pipeline, finalizing the message, identifying folks and strategies and tactics for making early appeals, right?
Hmm.
So that's October. And then November, you launch Giving Tuesday, offer a recurring giving challenge. So something like, let's say if you get 50 recurring donors in the month of December, it unlocks a $10,000 challenge match or something like that, right? Because we see
Yeah.
recurring giving is really effective in the month of December. Folks are in the giving spirit. Um, it doesn't preclude you from, people writing checks or making donations. It's just that it really fits the whole time frame and spirit of giving in December for recurring giving.
Hmm.
Um, launching that, and then again, that helps build a steady base of monthly donors. December, kind of touched on that briefly. We internally we brand December as 30 days of giving, right? So we encourage our clients. We're big fans of a thematic, right? So if they have champions for children or whatever that might be for that recurring giving push. So sustained push with impact driven stories, because it's all around storytelling then, right? Who you serve, the impact of your mission into our community, targeted asks. That's where we help identify, donors with capacity to reach out them to directly, especially on reminding them that their gift can be tax deductible before the end of the year. So there's a real strong incentive for that. Again, that's one of the reasons you see that 12% spike in the last 72 hours. And then this acknowledgement plan leading up to December 31st, and actually a little bit after that, right? I mean, there's some administrative work that happens after the first of the year where you have to send out all the receipts and things like that that people who have given, and again, thank you and gratitude, and then it just kind of repeats itself into what you have coming next, which are recurring giving campaign, if you have a gala, so on and so forth. There used to be a mindset out there that uh, if people gave to end of year giving or something like recurring giving or recurring gift, that they wouldn't give to your event. And the actual opposite is true. The more engaged with you they are, the more they're more likely to continue to give gifts with you. Okay, so that's why it's really important to have that storytelling throughout the year, not just through end of year giving. And again, making that connection and stewardship and moving people from one-time donors into long-lasting donor relationships. So that's the kind of the combination strategy of a cadence of a giving plan, a well thought out giving plan that makes an organization stand out for ongoing gifts.
Well, and that makes sense to me, honestly, because I mean, y- everything is connected. That seems to be the theme for today, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
a lot of times I will see organizations with a strong narrative and a strong call to action, right? But they're not necessarily married together,
Mm-hmm.
right? They might
Mm-hmm.
have a strong narrative as an organization or what their
Mm-hmm.
cause is. They might have a
Mm-hmm.
strong call to action over here, but they're not together.
Right.
But that combination, that strategy you're talking about, that's where Pacific Northwest fundraising comes in, right?
Yeah, yeah. So exactly, right. We see, it's just kind of the nature of the nonprofit industry. A lot of nonprofits don't have the staff bandwidth to run all this on top of everything else, right? It's where we step in as a fractional development department, where we bring a full team, communications, donor strategy, grant support, data infrastructure, all at the fraction of the cost of a full-time hire, right? So during end of year giving, we help with building and executing the donor engagement calendar. So October through the end of the year, creating Giving Tuesday and December content kits,
Mhm.
setting up for acknowledgement and stewardship, equipping boards, as brand ambassadors in a lot of ways, or peer-to-peer fundraisers to be active messengers and to, kind of piggyback on the content that's out there, which is a really big thing, right? I mean, this is like getting more eyes onto the nonprofits messaging, right? And the world is much smaller than we think it is, and so if they can just reshare that information, you can literally see a pipeline. And one of the things that we do really well, as we're not a social media company, we're a fundraising and development company who understands how to steward those engagement and likes into donors into your database, right? And so you put that all together, you started to really create the infrastructure for ongoing gifts, because the goal isn't just to maximize end of year giving, but to build systems that carry the organization into 2026 and beyond. That's really what the end game here is, right? It's
Yeah.
again this connective tissue between the campaigns and how that infrastructure is self-supporting the nonprofit to help take some of their fundraising stress off of them, right?
Yeah, because it's. I mean, and I'm sure this is kind of rehash, I apologize, of things that we've talked about before, but like it's not enough to just have one strong year. You want to have that longevity.
I,
Just like,
I
yeah.
think, yes, I think that's a really important thing to bring up, right? So, right, people, you can get lucky in some sense, right?
Hmm.
We want organizations to have the systems and processes and the infrastructure that it's year over year. Also, the big part of that too is by outsourcing it this way, you're saving a whole bunch of money that can be reinvested into that organization as well, right? So we see that, I mean, we've talked about the stats, the average tenure for a development director is under 16 months now. The cost about over $130,000 in just salary and benefits. And that's just salary and benefits. In
Hmm.
my opinion, it's probably double that when you take into account the stress it puts on the organization, the damage it does to the brand, the distrust that it places with your donors to have that kind of systemic failure. It's way more than just the actual dollars and benefits to the position. Okay. So yeah, we want to build that out, especially around recurring giving, identify the major donors, right? So we can help steward that organization to year over year success. We see a lot of organizations right now that, the current political climate, there's grants being, pulled and things like that, and they've been too heavy on grants, okay, as their major revenue stream. And still 70% of all gifts are by individual donors.
Hmm.
So we definitely need to make sure that they have a donor development plan and a stewardship plan in place, um, year over year.
And you got to marry them together.
Well,
I'm,
yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's where kind of the, what our niche, or what we do really well, right? I mean, I just put a case statement out, our good friend Jill Campbell, ED at the Houck Foundation, and how, we're doing this behind the scenes or infrastructure fundraising, okay? And we're doing the not only end of year giving or recurring giving, but the outreach to our gala, writing grants, okay, creating the collateral for major donors, right? The case statements and the prospectus, which one, Jill's not having to do that, right? She's not having to create the slide decks or that collateral now. We've taken that off her plate, and then which has allowed her to close two major gifts, okay, in this past year, one six figure and one just a little less than that. So it becomes this, we're the best development team and it's a team, right? I mean, we have somebody who's an expert in social media. You have myself, you have Sherry Martin, who, database management, and
Hmm.
so on and so forth. We have an award-winning grant writer, and to access that whole team, plus our advisory board with 75 years of experience. I mean, it's a tough year for nonprofits. It's going to be tough going forward, but everybody on my advisory board has been around for quite a while in the industry, who lived through the 2008 recession or
Hmm.
COVID. So there's always something, right? And so we exist to share that wisdom, to steward, right, and provide that infrastructure for their ongoing success and impact into our community, and that's what we love to do.
I love that. I like that so much. But okay, so like, so if a nonprofit leader is listening right now to this
Yeah,
episode, whether they're listening end of September or October, or they're finding this later and it's actually the beginning of the year, you know,
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
if if someone in a position to do something about this at a nonprofit is listening, and they're realizing that, hey, we don't have an end of year plan, right?
yeah. We need some
What
help.
what should they do?
Yeah, well, just reach out to us here at with the podcast. We'll have a link to our website, or my email, Eddie at Pacific Northwest Fundraising. Unfortunately, that's all spelled out, but we make it pretty. I also have a HubSpot link as well, so we make it pretty easy to connect with us, to have a Zoom conference call, scoping meeting. So we'd love to meet with folks and help them, then in this immediate need, if they don't have an end year giving plan, but what that looks like, not just for that, but that stewardship for the whole year for their success.
Perfect. So they can reach out to you at eddie@pacificnorthwestfundraising.us. They can go to the website, pacificnorthwestfundraising.us. You guys are on Facebook. You're all over the place.
Yeah, we've got a lot of distribution channels to get a hold of us.
That's good. That's
good.
It
is good.
Ease of contact.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, thank you so much for breaking this down. I know this was a quick hit episode today, but I like it. I think it helps, keeps things focused, And I think a lot of nonprofit leaders will kind of walk away from this realizing just how much opportunity there still is in the final, 3 months out of the year, up to
100%.
December 31st.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks, Ryan. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and share information. I'm excited to see how nonprofits in our region step into this season. Thanks, man.
You and me both, dude. And I'm going to be paying attention the last 3 days of this year to what they're doing.
All right, do it.
Thank you, Eddie. And thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of the Basecamp podcast, powered by Pacific Northwest Fundraising. Check back. We'll have new episodes up soon. Have a good one, everybody.